Thank you to all 72 of my subscribers and those who haven't subscribed yet for giving me your time. Because of you, my channel is growing. I am the little guy, and I hope you enjoy this video. Daredevil Born Again Season 2 and Invincible Season 4 are almost here, and in honor of their return, I thought I'd talk about their previous seasons. And so this is your warning for spoilers pertaining to Daredevil Born Again Season 1 and Invincible Season 3. Although both heroes have their own internal struggles, their journeys look very similar. In the first episode, it's clear that both characters have an internal conflict they need to resolve, and in each episode following, that conflict is explored until it reaches a point of no return. However, I think Daredevil Born Again handles its plot poorly, and I think Invincible handles that plot very well, and here's why. In the first episode of Daredevil Born Again, Matt Murdock loses his best friend, Foggy Nelson, to his nemesis Bullseye. The loss causes Matt to give up the mantle of Daredevil and to trust the justice system to administer justice. Matt decides to let others serve justice. However, in the first episode, he watches as his government and the people of New York fail him by electing his arch-nemesis, the Kingpin, to be the mayor of New York City. Now, love it or hate it, the writers at Marvel Studios thought it would be a good idea to have Wilson Fisk go down the route of a reformed man. Hypothetically, that means the people of New York City would have hired a good man to be their mayor. But this is the Kingpin we're talking about. And in the first episode, it's clear that both he and Matt Murdock are just denying their true natures. In the second episode, Matt Murdock becomes the attorney of a vigilante known as the White Tiger. To save his client, he has to find and protect a witness who is assaulted by some corrupt cops. He couldn't trust those cops to be servants of justice. He had to intervene. In the third episode, the White Tiger is freed, but he is still killed by corrupt cops. Matt becomes the attorney of a thief who he thinks is being unfairly punished in the fourth episode, once again highlighting how he can't trust others to administer justice. During the fifth episode, Matt stops a robbery at a bank while the police work outside. Back and let others serve justice, he feels like he has to be an agent of justice. Episode 6 is when we finally see Matt put the suit back on for the first time since episode 1. He fights the serial killer Muse and saves the daughter of the White Tiger when no one else is able to save her in time, once again highlighting how Matt can't trust others to do the right thing. In episode 7, he's able to defeat Muse, but Wilson Fisk uses Muse's defeat to make it look like his corrupt anti-vigilante police force was able to defeat the serial killer. Bullseye reaches out to Matt in episode 8 because he wants a lawyer to get him out of general population because he's afraid for his life. Matt beats Bullseye within an inch of his life, and Bullseye is later able to use his injuries to help him escape prison. Bullseye goes to an event that both Matt and Wilson go to with their lovers. At this point in the season, Matt knows Wilson Fisk will stop at nothing to end his life. As Wilson is taunting Matt on the dance floor, Matt hears Bullseye ready to fire a gun. Bullseye's target? Wilson Fisk. This is the moment of no return. Matt decided at the beginning of the season to let others administer justice, only to repeatedly see how others let him down. And now in this moment, someone else is able to dish out the justice no one else will serve. Wilson Fisk is beyond redemption. He had his chance to change and to be a better man, but he's outsmarted the justice system, he's become a head within the executive branch of government, and he's always used whatever wealth and influence he's had to hurt others. Bullseye can save Matt from Kingpin. All Matt has to do in this moment is trust someone else to serve justice. Matt chooses to stand in the way of justice and takes the bullet meant for Wilson Fisk. In episode 9, Matt has to outmaneuver Kingpin's forces that are trying to kill him. His whole reason for saving Kingpin's life? He just couldn't let himself give in to the darkness. This is a completely unsatisfying way to justify his decision, because he knows Wilson Fisk won't change. There is nothing anyone can do to stop him. The only way to stop the Kingpin is death, and Bullseye was about to eliminate him. Matt sabotaged another so the plot could happen. Invincible Season 3 sees Mark go on a similar but different story arc. In Episode 1, he's very much against killing others, but when Paul is about to kill Rexplode, he has no problem eliminating many of Paul's clones. Later in the episode, he tries to save other heroes who have been captured by Doc Seismic, and he has no problem killing giant mutated bugs. However, he's not able to defeat them all, and so Cecil sends other heroes in to save the day. But Mark has a problem with who he sends in, because some of those heroes Cecil sends in to save them were previously killers. Mark goes to confront Cecil about it, but learns Cecil has hired the mad scientist and killer D.A. Sinclair to create Reanimin. Mark doesn't believe in mutants, and he and Cecil argue. Cecil activates a sonic weapon to disable Mark, and while Mark later gets it out with the help of the Guardians of the Globe, it becomes very clear that Mark's stance on not killing the bad guys is being challenged. In Episode 3, Mark and his brother Oliver stop the Mauler twins after they launch a nuclear missile, but Oliver kills the twins. Mark berates his half-brother for his decision, but Oliver insists he had to do it because the Mauler twins were never going to stop. During Episode 4, Mark goes to the future to meet the Immortal, who has become a tyrannical dictator and begs Mark to kill him. Although Mark refuses at first, he eventually decapitates Immortal. Of course, the Immortal can be brought back to life if his head is reattached, but again, Mark is challenged in Episode 5 when another villain tries to kill him. Mark defeats him at first, only to learn he didn't actually defeat his foe, but someone else comes to his rescue and does what he couldn't. Episode 6 of Invincible Season 3 is my favorite episode because it highlights everything Mark's been grappling with so well. He goes up against the villain Powerplex, and Powerplex blames Invincible and Omni-Man for the deaths of his sister and niece. Mark has to face the fact that despite his desire to not kill others, he's had a part to play in the deaths of innocents. In Episode 7, Angstrom Levy returns to Mark's reality with a bunch of invincible doppelgangers and wages the Invincible War. Mark helps fight against him at first, but when his girlfriend is wounded, he retreats and watches over her, while others fight the good fight. He had a problem with killing others, but he has no problem letting other versions of himself kill others so long as they aren't killing the ones he loves. Angstrom eventually sends the doppelgangers to a different universe, and Mark is able to confront him. In that moment, Mark is unsure of himself, but Oliver arrives and tells Mark to kill Angstrom because if he doesn't, Angstrom will just do what he did again. There is no prison that can contain Angstrom. He doesn't want to change, and death is the only answer for him. Mark agrees, but his hesitation is all Angstrom needed to escape. Episode 8 brings Mark to his point of no return. At the end of Episode 7, the Viltrumite known as Conquest arrives and challenges Mark. Rather than surrender Earth to the Viltrum Empire, Mark decides to fight him. However, this fight poses Mark with a dilemma. He must either do or die. He has no other option. Throughout the episode, Mark is pushed time and time again until he finally has to accept he cannot go easy on Conquest. He must kill him. The episode ends with Mark defeating Conquest, and to his knowledge, he killed Conquest. He comes to the conclusion that if a villain threatens him or his family, that threat must be killed. The reason Invincible 3 is superior to Daredevil Born Again Season 1 is because Mark goes on a journey that forces him to change, and the conclusion makes sense. Matt also goes on a journey that forces him to change, but his conclusion doesn't make sense. I could see it making sense if Matt let Kingpin take the bullet and then something bad happened because of it. Maybe the bullet has a through and through and hits his lever, meaning Matt made the wrong decision by not taking the bullet himself. Or perhaps Wilson goes to the hospital and learns Matt met with Bullseye, so he reasons that Matt helped Bullseye escape. Kingpin could then use that to set up Matt to be arrested for aiding Bullseye with his escape, and that would reinforce that once again Matt can't trust others to administer justice. He must do it himself. Matt could even let Bullseye kill Wilson Fisk, and then Vanessa could become his worst nightmare. Because now Matt can't contend with the devil he knows. He has to face off against a threat he's never properly faced off against before. Or the show could have paid off a setup made at the end of Season 3 of Daredevil, which was that nothing would happen to Karen Page or Foggy Nelson if Matt didn't target Vanessa, and nothing would happen to Vanessa if Wilson didn't target Foggy or Karen. With Vanessa dead, Wilson could have blamed Matt, and we could have seen a much more unhinged Kingpin than we we've ever seen before. Possibly the biggest lesson we can learn from this is to have the story make sense. Granted, it's been reported that Daredevil Born Again Season 1 was a Frankenstein of a creation because of drama behind the scenes. But as much as I want to have hope for Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, I'm not convinced that Disney isn't going to try to use this show to preach an agenda. Both shows do take creative liberties. Invincible's TV adaptation isn't an exact replica of what we got in the comics. The writers do change a lot within the show, but the reason for it is always to enhance the story, not to twist it to fit an agenda. Plot elements have been moved around, character dynamics have changed, and content has been added, all with the desire to make a better story. One of the most notable changes to the plot was Omni-Man's attack on the Guardians of the Globe in Season 1, which took place much later in the comics. In Season 3, Powerplex's wife is a willing accomplice to his actions before he takes action, whereas in the comics, she was unaware at first. And possibly the greatest change to all of Invincible so far has to be the "I am so lonely" monologue delivered by Conquest. Seriously, if you haven't seen that monologue, go watch it, or better yet, watch Invincible. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment telling me your thoughts, and subscribe for more content like this in the future.